Hosted by you/ethical_conundrum85. Hello Reddit, this has been weighing on my conscience for over a year now, and I'm honestly not sure how to handle it. It's long, so sorry in advance. I, 38F, met my friend Dave, 42M, about 4 years ago in an online gaming forum. During that time, I became friends with his wife, Brenda, 43F, and he became friends with my fiancée, Nicole, 38M. I live by the rule in a relationship that if there is a conversation I wouldn't feel comfortable showing my significant other, then I don't need to be having that conversation. At no point did Dave ever cross a line with me, nor was there ever inappropriate conversation. This is important. About a year and a half ago, summertime, Nicole got a big promotion, and we hosted a fun, weekend-long celebration at our home. We invited Dave and Brenda, who live 5 hours away from us, and this was the first time we actually met them in person. I instantly connected with Brenda. She was so authentic and sweet. We all got along well, even started talking about future get-togethers and vacations. It seemed perfect. At this time, my company was doing major layoffs, and I was looking for a new career. Brenda had worked at a remote company for over a decade and recommended I apply. After a few intense interviews, I was hired. Quick side note, Dave had been injured in a work-related accident that went to court. He sued and won. He was permanently disabled because of the accident and can no longer work in his profession. That, along with a large life insurance policy from his parents, means he is financially set for life. He stays home and raises their daughter, Leah, 5F, while Brenda does her remote work from the house as well. A little over a year ago, during the fall, a few months after the celebration weekend, Dave and Brenda were getting ready to take their daughter, Leah, on vacation. Before they left for the airport, Dave said he needed to talk to me. It was urgent, so I stepped away to take the call. Dave then told me he had literally nobody else to talk to about this, was deeply depressed, and needed to confide in me as a friend. I really wish he hadn't. He told me that the night before, he had gotten into a huge fight with who he calls his best friend, Rachel, 41F. I had heard about Rachel but never met her and didn't know too much about her, to be honest. What I did know, Dave, Brenda, and Rachel had been friends in college, a 20-year-long friendship. She had visited Dave and Brenda's house several times over the years, and Rachel had allegedly been in a string of bad relationships, which Dave had had to bail her out of financially a few times. That's about it. Here comes the information I wish Dave hadn't told me, as it has completely changed how I view my friend. Dave told me that Rachel confessed to him the night before that she knew he was attracted to her. Yes, she is gorgeous. Dave said he has always been attracted to her physically, but mentally, her personality, specifically her shallowness, was a huge turnoff for him. Some unkind things were said about Brenda letting herself go since having Leah, which disgusted me. He then said Rachel confessed that she is frustrated with her never-ending chain of bad relationships and wants to finally settle down. She knows he is wealthy and can give her the life she feels she deserves. She wants him to leave Brenda and Leah, move to Rachel's city, buy her a large house, and let her be his trophy wife. I choked back a laugh at this because I literally thought it was a joke. Seriously? She admits to not being physically attracted to him. Okay, who says things like that, but knows she can satisfy him and he can give her the lifestyle she deserves. She just demands that he completely cut off the life he is now, including all friends and family, and be with her. What's worse? Rachel has been planning this for literally years. Sitting in their home, eating their food, drinking their wine, holding Leah, laughing with Brenda, all while planning this. I was floored. I asked what Brenda thought of all this. He said he didn't tell her. I asked him how Rachel took it when he told her to F off. He said he didn't. He doesn't want to lose her as a friend and even considered her proposition. I felt sick. I told him I was shocked. To me, even if he decides not to take Rachel up on it, this is a betrayal of Brenda. Dave explained that while his and my conversations consisted of gaming, stupid memes, and planning potential couples vacations, his conversations with Rachel were emotional and raw. They spoke for hours on end every single day while he was caring for Leah and while Brenda was working in the next room. Okay, stop. He asked my opinion, and I told him he had two options, either leave Brenda or completely break off all contact with Rachel and focus on his marriage. But since he asked, in my opinion, Brenda needed to know. Especially since she considered Rachel a friend and knowing that Rachel wants to screw over Brenda and Leah. Seriously, typing this disgusts me. After the call ended, I told Nicole about it. He was as shocked as I was but asked what I was going to do. I just sat there, trying to digest what I had just heard. Dave, Brenda, and Leah went on their vacation. During this time, we didn't communicate. When he got back, he told me that he had cut Rachel off but refused to tell Brenda about it. Okay, fine, whatever. I don't agree with his decision not to tell her, but it's not my life, not my relationship. He asked for advice, and I gave it. I told him that in my eyes, he had betrayed his wife, whether physically or not, and I still felt that Brenda deserved to know. Almost immediately, I felt myself pulling away from Dave. My image of him was damaged. When I interact with Brenda online for work, I'm professional and friendly, but it's painful keeping this secret. However, as time passed, I began to think that perhaps this was over. Dave had just made a stupid mistake and was just thinking about what could be. He didn't actually leave her, right? And most importantly, he cut Rachel out. Dave and I began talking a bit more. I actually thought maybe things could go back to the way they were. Since he didn't actually physically cheat, maybe it's best that Brenda doesn't know, for her own mental health and happiness. Maybe we can move past this. So many thoughts going through my mind. So many ways of rationalizing this. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level impressive. Then about a month ago, he dropped the bomb. He told me that Rachel and he are talking again. She allegedly begged him for forgiveness and cried that she is going through another horrible breakup and needs his friendship, or else she doesn't know what she might do. He said he is going to keep her at arm's length, but she needs him. He will just be there for her a little bit, but it won't be like it was before. To my displeasure, as the weeks passed, he began to mention her more and more. I told him I didn't want to hear about her, and when he kept going, I finally snapped and told him not to mention her to me at all. I'm so pissed that he is talking to her again and that he doesn't care about how knowing this is putting more guilt and strain on my mind, especially when I have to interact with his wife. It's completely unfair that he told me about his situationship with Rachel, knowing that I consider Brenda a friend and that we work together every day. I begged him to tell Brenda about it. She has the right to decide if she wants to stay. Most of all, he is actively still friends with a woman who wishes hurt and pain on his wife and little girl. How do you sleep at night? Dave still talks about planning vacations together with Mikkel and me, but I don't even respond. Honestly, I don't see how I can sit at dinner with them and keep quiet, especially if Rachel were to get brought up in conversation, and let's be honest, there will be wine. I have one of those faces that speaks my mind without saying a word, which is why I do better working remotely versus client-facing. I dread the day when if either Dave or Brenda says that Rachel is coming to visit them again. I can pretend it won't happen, but let's be honest. Dave is a complete moron who managed to somehow miraculously prevent his marriage from going up in flames, only to soak himself in gasoline and open the door to the walking, talking, gorgeous yet shallow lit match. Reddit, help me. I want to cut him out completely because I am so disgusted by his actions, but I know Brenda will be upset and drill me about it, especially since they have been planning a trip to Europe next year and want us to come. Should I just tell her we had a falling out? Should I find a way to hint to Brenda not to trust Rachel? I didn't even want to know any of this, and I'm so pissed that he dumped this on me. We were friends, but not that type of friend. As for Brenda, I would want to know if I were friends with and playing host to a girl who wanted to steal my husband and the father of my child. But I'm also concerned about my job, my livelihood. She's been with the company over 10 years, and I've only been there a year. I've kept this secret from her for so long. If I say something, could it affect my employment? Should I just pull away from them and, when asked, make some lame excuse like I'm too busy? Edit. I wanted to clarify a few things. When I say friend, I mean we are more than mere acquaintances, but we aren't besties. I've always been closer to Dave than Brenda, strictly because he's the one I game with. However, Dave and I never had deep conversations before he unloaded this secret on me. We talked about Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, going to festivals, and eventually joining them on vacations, which we haven't done so far. Money was too tight for us to join them before Mikkel's promotion and before I was given this job opportunity, so vacations were something for the future. We've only ever met once in person, during the promotion weekend last summer, but we have continuously made plans to visit or meet up in the city. Due to funds and other hiccups, the plans always fell through. Our friendship was something we built to escape the stress of life, lighthearted and meant to be fun. As for Brenda, she recommended me for the position at her work, but I had to earn the position. She isn't my boss, but she definitely has seniority. Before the conversation with Dave, I had high hopes that Brenda and I could become closer and that we could all be good friends down the road. Unfortunately, since this happened last year, I have kept my distance and haven't nurtured my relationship with Brenda. I have no proof. The conversation where he told me everything was over the phone, and I didn't record it. Plus, I'm in a two-party state, so I think I could get in trouble for that. If I tell Brenda, it will be my word against his. And if she goes to him, he can deny everything or even try to spin it against me. This is where I worry it could affect my job. My job is my biggest concern at this point. I do not want to lose my job. I don't want my job to become awkward. I would love to be able to give Brenda a heads up about the situation, but I also can't afford to lose my job. I cannot stress this enough. If I knew I could warn her without harming my own situation, I would. It may sound like my mind is made up, but it's not. I just wanted to add these clarifications in the hope that something can be done. Update 4 days later. Hello Reddit, First of all, I want to send a huge thank you to everyone who took the time to read and comment on my post. I read all your replies and took most into consideration. I mentioned that I would wait until after Thanksgiving to make my decision, as I didn't want to ruin the holiday for Brenda and Leah. During that time, I decided that if I lose my job, it would suck, but I know I can get another. I have to do what's right and what's best for my mental health. Yesterday, with Mikel's support, I sent out a group message to them both, saying, "Hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving." To my surprise, Brenda replied with, "Yeah, not so much." I asked what happened, and she said that Rachel's mom was in the hospital with pneumonia, and Dave went to be with her for moral support, leaving her hosting alone. Dave didn't reply. Mikel told me this was the perfect time and that he would support me no matter what I chose to do. So, I sent, "I'm amazed how forgiving you are, Brenda. I don't think I could be so chill." Dave replied with several question marks, but Brenda immediately called me, so I put her on speaker. She asked what I meant, and I said, "After what happened last year, with Dave and Rachel, before you guys left for vacation." She told me to go on, and that's when I knew he had not, in fact, told her. So, I told her everything. I also told her I was sorry and had tried to convince him to tell her, but I didn't know if anything more had happened. I added that maybe there was still a chance to fix things. I told her that since Rachel was back in their lives, I assumed they had moved past it, maybe because they'd been close friends since college. She seemed eerily calm and said something like, no, Rachel never went to college. She met Dave online about 10 years ago. She's never been to college or even had a real job." She asked if there was anything else. I started freaking out, lost any remaining confidence I had, and told her the reason I hadn't said anything sooner was because I didn't have any proof. Since working with her, I had been worried about saying anything because I didn't want to risk my job, but not anymore. I was spiraling. Brenda said she had to go and hung up. I just sat there feeling sick. 2 whole hours later, Brenda called me back. "Some of you called it." When confronting Dave and Rachel, they told her that I had actually propositioned him, that I was jealous of his and Rachel's friendship, and that I wanted what Brenda had. I started shaking and crying. At this point, Mikel interrupted her and said he had heard parts of the original conversation, not all, but enough to know that what I had told him afterward was the truth. She tried interrupting him, but he cut her off. He said this had been tearing me up and he was sick of it. He wished her the best and hoped she could remain professional at work, but after this call, he wanted Dave out of our lives for good. Then he hung up. About 30 minutes later, I got a text from Brenda. She apologized for us being dragged into this, said she was mortified that I knew, and explained that Mikel didn't let her finish. She was just telling us what they said. Then she dropped this nuke. She already knew what was up and had since last year. She just had no idea until then that I knew. She said the way Dave acted last year on the vacation, like a heartbroken, lovesick puppy, was a huge red flag, and she felt deep down that something wasn't right with him and Rachel. As soon as they got back home, she started digging, looking through his computer, phone, and iPad. It's not just Rachel, there's more. She's the only one he's met up with. None of the others wanted him in person, just his money. I asked if she was okay or worried about Dave coming back, but Brenda said she already has a lawyer and has been spending the past several months getting her affairs in order. She was going to give him the divorce papers after Thanksgiving, but with him abandoning them like that, she instead took advantage of his absence to change the locks and start packing his stuff. My information, along with their lies, just made it easier for her. This woman is so much stronger than I knew. I don't know if changing locks is legal, but good for her, I guess. She apologized again for Dave, and I told her I was sorry I hadn't said something earlier. She told me that if she didn't already know about Dave and hadn't read a lot of our messages, which she said were pretty boring, ouch, lol, she probably wouldn't have believed me. It was an impossible situation. I told her that if she needs to talk, we are here. If not, then I'll just be her coworker. Either way, I'm done with Dave.